Okay, take two. I recorded the whole damn thing before, but I messed something up and now we have to re-record, so fun stuff. Oh yeah, welcome to the Working from Headphones series, part 1. So no super fancy equipment today. My name is MidFi Guy, so I gotta be true to my roots and remember where I came from, because we all started from somewhere, right? Right. So many of us are working from home now, hence the extremely clever title. And a few of my friends have asked me, MidFi Guy, what headphones do I get? I'm working from home now, I wanna upgrade, what should I get? I asked their budget, they say it's usually between the 100 and 200 range. And I feel this is the real sweet spot for most people who are just getting into quality headphones. And I did have requirements for this video. They needed to be closed back because we'll be headed back to work at some point, unless you work for Twitter, very lucky. They do need to be great at isolating noise so your workmates don't know that you have Drake on repeat. No judgments. They need to be low impedance and easy to drive. I used the portable iFi XDSD for this review, but rest assured these headphones can be powered by any laptop's 3.5mm port as well. They need to be comfortable, they need to be breathable, they need to have non-fatiguing smooth sound that doesn't bother while working. Most people don't think about that, but we're going to discuss that in this video. For the purpose of this series, I'll describe this as work sound. So for each headphone, I spent an entire workday listening to music just on that headphone while trying to do my normal 9 to 5. All my notes here reflect that, plus I did a session at the end of direct ABC comparisons after the last day. So let's start off with the beauty, or ugly duckling, however you want to say it. The Audio-Technica M50x. They're kind of rough looking. My friend Magic Mike loaned them to me, I mentioned in the other video, but they still work great despite being 5 years old. But let's get started with the sound. They do have a U-shaped sound with recessed mids. So this means the mids are recessed in favor of the upper and lower frequencies, but not as extreme as something labeled V-shaped. So you do get some mids, but it does sound lower in volume compared to high frequencies and low frequencies. And they are very resolving at the higher frequencies, so violins sound nice and crisp if you're into that kind of thing. The mids that are there though, they do sound very thin, and they're not as well defined as the other cans here. It does have the smallest soundstage of the three. The sound feels closed in and never really feels big and expansive like the other headphones. That all said, the sound is still very fun and dynamic with well-defined treble and a smooth bass response. I'm honestly surprised how good these sound, considering the small ear cups coupled with the kind of plasticky look and feel. They just look and feel much cheaper than the other two here, but they do sound good. I know other reviewers like DMS and Zeos, for whatever reason, despise these cans. Like they think they're actually evil or something. Well, I wanted to give them a fair shake here, and I'd have to say, in my few days of testing, my level of hatred is not mirrored here at all. Then again, I've only had these for a few days, so they may be evil, but they haven't possessed me just yet. If you do own these or have owned these in the past for a decent amount of time, feel free to chime in on your thoughts. I'm curious why there's such a strong feeling about this headphone. The work sound, it's pretty engaging and energetic, but the upper frequencies, just the fact that they're so plentiful, they make these not the best headphones for focusing on work. You can do better. The isolation, excellent noise isolation. The clamping force really helps here. You won't be bugging your workmates with this headphone. Comfort and ergonomics, they weigh 285 grams. Even though they're the heaviest here, that's still a very light number when it comes to quality headphones. Clamping pressure is definitely noticeable on first wear. It feels like it clamps 3 times harder than the Mezes here, and about twice as much as the 770s, so they are the hardest clamping here. The oval ear cups are angled slightly forward for a more natural feel, which is nice, but they are the smallest ear cups here. It kind of feels like you're placing your ears in the pockets of the M50X, if I'm explaining that right. Despite the claustrophobic feel, it's not really an issue unless you have particularly like large ears, but it does feel like you're just kind of tucking your ears in here. The finish, it looks and feels the cheapest here, let's be honest. It is an older model, but despite the plastic body, it still feels really solid. It does come in lots of different color variations. I don't think they even sell this one anymore, or it's at least harder to find. But we also have to talk about this puppy here, the fading headband. It's definitely a cheap part here, but my buddy Magic Mike says these are a little over 5 years old, so you're gonna get some flaking pleather either way. I would get the black version if you're gonna go with these, and it's much less of an issue here. But still, we gotta be honest, like this headband is a bit of a joke compared to the other two headphones we have here. As for the cable, it's a custom connector here. So you kind of plug it into the left ear cup and turn it and it kind of locks into place. I actually kind of appreciate how it just comes out of one ear cup, you know, instead of a Y splitter. But you know, if you want to replace this, it's a custom locking thing, so you're gonna have to pay 20 bucks. So the all-day listening experience. Out of all three here, I had to take breaks from these the most. I would say that was mainly due to the clamping pressure, and that not only happens on the sides, but it's pretty prominent coming down from the headband as well, just on the top of your head. But if you switch to something like the DT-770s, it's much less clamping pressure from all angles when you're using these. All right, switching to the Beyerdynamic DT-770 Pros. And I need to preface this headphone here with the impedance version you should get. It comes in 32, 80, 250 ohm, or 600 ohm editions. Unless you're using these for studio work on high-powered equipment, you'll want the 80 ohm version. It measures and performs better than the 32 ohm from other reviews I've read. Here I actually have the 250 ohm. It's kind of faded, but these are the 250 ohm. And they actually measure very similarly to the 80 ohms, but they are a challenge to power from some laptop headphone ports. The 80 or 32 ohm versions will not have this issue. So as for sound, it sounds the most clear of the three. Not veiled, it has proper treble, good soundstage, good airiness. It has great dynamics. If I'm just listening to music just for fun, I love the impactful and smooth bass this gives. Plus the treble is really light on its feet. It's fast and precise. The sound signature though, it's very, very V-shaped. So it's much more prominent than the M50Xs here, which were U-shaped. So that means the mids and the upper mids are more hollowed out and feel even further away, unfortunately. Anytime you see footage of people in a music studio, you tend to see these Beyers on everyone's heads. It's kind of uncanny. But the V-shaped sound, it kind of mimics what most people tend to prefer when they're listening to music. You know, when they're in their cars or using their personal stereos, the average person will usually turn up the bass, maybe slightly turn up the treble, and this headphone kind of mimics that experience. And although the bass is nice, it can feel like an oversupply at times. And let's talk about the work sound. Although the sound quality is great, the analytical sound does serve as a distraction while working. The in-your-face bass and kind of shouty nature of the dynamics this puts out can call for your attention in busy songs. It's kind of a catch-22. It's really fun, and it has like a very clear sound, at least for the price, but it may affect your work. Isolation, very good noise isolation. I have to say in my rudimentary tests with volume matching and going back and forth between all of these, the other two were actually a tad bit better at isolating, but still it was minor, and the level of isolation is still very good for a closed back can. Comfort and ergonomics. I have to say the DT-770s are the best of the three here. There's no question. The weight comes in at 270 grams. I'm struggling to find another headphone that is more comfortable than these, especially for long listening sessions. The stock velour ear pads are extra soft, almost pillowy, I'd say. And the pleather headband is miles better than what's on the M50Xs, but what isn't? But it is great how you can kind of remove and replace it. They allow easy replacement if you need to. I doubt you will, but you know, at least you have that option. The finish, the look is purpose-driven and utilitarian. It's no frills, but it's still attractive in my eyes. It's like a modest economy car, a modern one that has clean lines, but you open it up and it surprises you with a quality leather interior inside. That's how I feel with these. So let's talk about this, the non-detachable cable. It's like an old telephone cord. It's long, it's probably more than you need, but you know, it is a bummer, but you're just using these for work. Is it really a big deal? Probably not. I just throw them in my desk when I'm done for the day. Just throw them in my drawer and it's fine. No big deal there. The all-day listening experience, though they are very distracting cans, the comfort really helps out here. The experience is miles better than the M50Xs, and I would say it's almost tied with the Mezes just because of the comfort. That's if it weren't for the extremely V-shaped sound. Unfortunately, we had to dock some points there. But the only time I needed to take a break was when I felt my ears getting hot from these. That's when you go to the bathroom, get your bathroom break, get a snack, add to your jolly old quarantine weight, and put these on again. Okay, the Meze 99 Noirs. Noirs, another French word, lovely. Finally, we're getting some decent mids here. I can hear the singer's voice properly without cranking up the volume, which is very nice. It does sound a bit veiled with a dark, kind of compressed sound signature, at least when you're directly comparing them to something like the DT 770s. Separation isn't up to par with the other cans listed here, but, and it's a huge but, I absolutely love the sound coming from these. The mids are finally there. I don't feel fatigued at all. It's like a soft, pillowy sound that happens to be well-defined, but you get your definition, you get your soft, smooth sound signature, and it is an intriguing sound that you appreciate the more you listen to it, I'll say. I'll say it's like a favorite coffee you like. You may be in love with the aroma and flavor of a certain blend, but you ask the next person who has their own tastes, and they'll probably hate it, at least initially. I think the sound here is not like your typical sound coming from a high-end headphone, but it's just right for a certain application, and for me that's work. So let's throw an example song in here. In my last review with higher end headphones, I personally struggled to find a good garage rock song to be a reference track. It never really showed off the dynamics and the character of the headphones, so I had a challenge there. So I just didn't include one. But it is a genre that's great for work. It sounds like it's made in a garage instead of like a high quality production studio. Example bands are like The Strokes, The Vines, Vampire Weekend. But what makes them great for work is they're generally like upbeat songs that are fun to listen to and will kind of keep your energy up. Let's use the song Fluorescent Adolescent, and I love this one. It's from Arctic Monkeys. It sounded the best to my ears on the Mezes. Sure, you had less separation and less definition, but the way the 99 takes a track, kind of bundles together the frequencies, it packages it up in its own special way, and finally sends it to your ears, it's the definition of smooth. This reminded me of how the ZMF Aeolus headphones, it's another can that's able to take songs that aren't mastered as well and make them sound better. There is a downside to the 99 Noirs that I'll mention. Plugging these into a 2017 MacBook Pro's headphone port, it was sort of boring to my ears with even less definition. However, the other headphones here, they did sound better than this plugging directly into the laptop port. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Mezes still do the job of letting you focus on your work, but these cans, I guess they really scale up with proper power. If you do decide to go with the Mezes, consider getting something like an external DAC amp. This one is on the expensive side. I think it's $400, sometimes it goes down to $350. But if you even get like a $99 full from Shit Audio, I think that'll do you good. As far as the work sound is concerned, it's the perfect work sound to my ears. I immediately switch back and forth from the other headphones. And although it's not as resolving as the others mentioned here, the presentation is ideal for a working environment. It's probably the smoothest sound I've heard that is still fairly defined, especially in this price range. The only thing I can think of off the top of my head that can compare, like the Sony Z7s, the Z1Rs, but those cost much more. The isolation, these are the best on isolation. Excellent privacy when listening to your tracks, so crank up that chill Drake beat and feel confident. Comfort and ergonomics, lightest here at 260 grams, but still second place to the 770s. The inner retractable headband is a great touch and actually works well. It does have like medium small size ear cups. Your ear will kind of rub up against them when you're putting them on, but it is a much better feeling than the M50Xs. The finish. The retractable headband here, the mechanism for it is lovely. Just look at it go. You don't see this much attention to detail at this price range. It's one thing if it's a gimmicky design, but it really works and it does the job. Detachable cable. It's a semi-standard 3.5 millimeter jack cable. I say semi because the plugs are crazy thin. I guess they needed them to be this thin just for the design of plugging them into angled wooden ear cups. So I can see why that's the case. And this is the drop edition. And I'm personally having connection issues on the right wire. So it sucks, especially because I have other 3.5 millimeter cables here, but none will fit since the Meze requires such a thin jacket. Maybe I'll look at an aftermarket option or just yell at drop until they give me a new one. As for straight looks, definitely the best here. Even better looking than my $1,600 Arias and more comfortable too. And while we're at it, let's talk about Meze's only other headphone model, the Empyrean. Meze, I think they make arguably the best designed headphones in the world. And they only make two. Rumor mill has it that Meze is currently creating a mid-tier headphone, so curious how that'll turn out. All right, enough of a tangent. The all-day listening experience. Though they're not as comfortable as the 770s, the smooth presentation of the Mezes make these a winner for me. They never shout at you, they're never fatiguing, they're fairly easy to power, they look and fit great. The pleather ear pads isolate well with glasses on. It's hard to pick out a negative here, but I do have to say that I did have the same heat issue as the 770s. If it's the least bit hot in your room, it will be amplified with a closed back pleather pad headphone. Summer weather is starting to peek its head out, so have your fan aimed at you for longer listening sessions. All right, we did it. But let's have some closing thoughts now. I think if most people were at this desk right now and they were hearing these back to back, I honestly think most people would choose the DT 770s, at least on first listen. They sound cleaner, the bass bumps, and it really feels comfortable. But if you're looking for a superior work headphone, you would do best to choose the Meze 99s. They're not as detailed sound-wise as the Beyerdynamics or even as the Audio-Technicas here, but the long play here is you want to be productive and unbothered while working. You don't want a can that will shout at you and analyze every little detail in your tunes. The DT 770s, with all their technical ability at this price point, they simply aren't the best choice for this purpose, for working, in my opinion. This isn't to say the Mezes aren't up to task for producing great sound. Ask any owner of the Meze, any real owner, and more likely than not, they love their purchase. They usually move to these cans after, let's say, like their M50x failed on them, or another headphone broke, but the smooth sound that the Meze 99s produce makes it a real keeper. So where does that leave the M50x's? The unfortunate part of the Audio-Technicas is that the build quality and comfort simply doesn't match the other two. For long listening sessions, for work especially, I'm not sure that this will fit the bill at all. Another point about the ear cups and pad switching, people change the pads out on these all the time. I'm not really the type to mod headphones, but I will note that if you wear glasses, the pleather pads are better at isolating noise than the velour pads. Although they're very comfortable, the velour pads, they do leak sound if they don't get that perfect seal, and that includes the rim of your glasses. So that's it for today, part 2 of working from headphones. Let's get to the big players in the wireless world. We got a Sony XM3 coming, a Sennheiser Momentum 3, and the new Bose 700. That's right, the QC35s are out. Fin. The new model is in. And in my opinion, Bose was wise to revamp their wireless option. The other options now are much better looking, and the QC35 just couldn't compare. But let's review it and let's see if they succeeded. As always, please like, please subscribe. I want to get enough subscribers that companies will start sending me their equipment instead of bugging my friends for their 5-year-old crappy looking headphones. But yeah, like the smash button, smash the like button. And that's it for today. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe, peace out, and have a good day. See you later.